Okay, Dr. Humans, listen to this. Totally normal. Fine, we know that one. What about this one? There's an extra sound, but what is that extra sound? Is that an S3, an S4, an opening snap? What is happening? And that is what this video is all about. Every single sound that we are talking about today, be it S3, S4, opening snap, they all live in diastole. And before we do anything else today, I want to give you the single best trick that makes all of this feel much easier. Timing the heart sounds with the carotid pulse, because the carotid pulse is systole happening. We hear S1, which is the closure of the mitral and tricuspid valves. You feel the carotid pulse, systole is happening. Then comes S2, closure of the aortic and pulmonary valves. And now we are in diastole. If you hear three little sounds instead of two, you can figure out which is S1 and S2, which is the extra one, and that is a great place to start. Today, I'm going to be sharing some heart sounds with you guys, and we're going to be analysing the sound and filling in this table together so that it is crystal clear and super memorable. Are you ready? Let's go. It's time for round one. Okay, Dr. Humans, here is your first sound. And notice when it happens, it's pretty soon after S2. So clue one for this one is the timing of the sound being in early diastole, soon after S2. And now we think about the pitch. Dun, 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 dun. Butchered it. It's a low pitch, right? There is a low pitch sound. And for a low pitch sound, are we reaching for the bell or the diaphragm of our stethoscope? We're reaching for the bell, right? The low-pitched sounds love the bell, bell for the win. And where are we going to be listening with this bell? The apex, right? Especially when the patient is rolled onto their left side, the left lateral position that brings the apex closer to the chest wall. Now, something that is both helpful and slightly unhelpful is that people describe this sound as a gallop rhythm, which I do think is helpful. But some people say it sounds like the word Kentucky. Now, honestly, I really have to stretch my imagination with this one, but let's try it. Let's see what happens. Kentucky. Kentucky, Kentucky, Kentucky. And so tell me what this sound is called, this Kentucky sound. This is an S3, okay? And so what is an S3? It's all about sloshing. I want you to imagine you're sitting in a bath and the bath is full, and then suddenly someone throws a whole bucket of water over you from above, right? There's going to be a huge slosh sound, right? That noise, that slosh, that is basically your S3. It is a volume problem. There's too much volume. So the ventricle already had a lot of blood sitting inside it. Then the mitral valve opens up at the start of diastole and more blood rushes in really quickly. So too much volume arriving too fast, and you get this sloshy little extra heart sound. So S3 is a volume overload problem. And so what heart problems do you know that have too much volume? We have heart failure, that's the classic, dilated cardiomyopathy, valvular heart disease like severe mitral regurgitation or severe aortic regurgitation. Those can all cause an S3. But that said, S3 is not always pathological, and in a young, athletic or pregnant person, this can be normal. It just means that they have a big stroke volume. But of course, in your gen med patient on the ward, it's probably not normal, right? The S3 is probably screaming heart failure until proven otherwise on the gen med ward. Okay, so that was the slosh. Now let me introduce you to its sneaky little cousin, strain. Okay, listen to this. So for this one, I want you to notice something. This time the extra sound is not coming right after the dub, it's coming just before the lub, just before S1. So the main clue here is timing. This is still diastole, but now we're right at the end of diastole, just before S1. And the pitch is still low, do-do-do, do-do-do. Yeah, still low. So you can hear that it's very similar to S3 in terms of the actual pitch of the sound. And so just like S3, it will be best heard with the bell and at the apex. And this sound is of course S4. And some people say that S4 sounds a lot like the word Tennessee. Again, let's see if we agree with this. I don't know, Kentucky, Tennessee. Do what you will with the Kentucky-Tennessee thing, but what on earth actually is an S4? S4 is about straining. I want you to imagine that you have a very stiff balloon and you have a syringe and you're trying to push fluid from the syringe into the balloon, but it's a very stiff balloon and so it's a bit of a struggle. And as you're trying to squeeze this fluid out with this syringe, you're straining, right? And you feel yourself want to make a little strain noise, give it a little bit of a yeah. You know what I mean? Like, does anyone do that when they're lifting furniture? That noise of strain is basically an S4. That is what the atrium is doing. It is squeezing so much that we can actually hear it. So in late diastole, just before S1, the atrium normally contracts. We call this the atrial kick, and that's just a little top up of blood into the ventricle. At the end of diastole, no drama. But if the ventricle is stiff, the atrium suddenly has to strain harder to push that blood in. That forceful atrial kick against the stiff ventricle, that's your S4. And so what conditions might lead to a stiff left ventricle and cause an S4? For this, we're thinking hypertension, that's classic, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, aortic stenosis, acute myocardial infarction with scarring, basically conditions that leave the ventricle thickened and stiff. But something so important here is that in order to have an S4, you need to have an atrial kick. So you need the atria to squeeze in a coordinated way, which means you must be in sinus rhythm. So if someone is in atrial fibrillation, the atria are fibrillating. They are not squeezing together in one organized contraction, right? So we're not going to have an atrial kick, and so there will be no S4. It is impossible. If you have atrial fibrillation, it's not an S4. And suddenly, our table is coming together beautifully. S3, the slosh, Kentucky, volume problems. S4, the strain, Tennessee, pressure problems, but only in sinus rhythm. And now, let me introduce you to the dramatic one. It's a bit snappy. Okay. That is sharper, crispier, it's a little bit more dramatic. It's very different from our sloshy S3 and strainy S4. And what does that tell us about the pitch? It means the pitch is higher, which means we're going to be using our diaphragm for the win. So high-pitched sounds love the diaphragm. Now with timing, this one's happening typically in mid-diastole. So not super close to S1, not super close to S2, just kind of plonked in between them. And this sound, this is an opening snap. And this is great for exams because it only comes with one diagnosis, and that is mitral stenosis. That's it. Nothing else causes an opening snap. So here, I want you to imagine the mitral valve is just like a really stiff door. It's rusty, it's hard to open, it's not cooperating, but eventually, with enough pressure, all of a sudden, snap. The door suddenly gives way. And that is basically what's happening in mitral stenosis. The valve is stiff and narrowed, pressure builds in the left atrium, and eventually the valve gets thrust open. And we hear this opening snap. And if you do think you're hearing an opening snap, just think mitral stenosis, then listen carefully for that murmur and look for any signs of pulmonary hypertension or heart failure, which might otherwise support that diagnosis and help assess its severity. Okay, so we've had the slosh, we've had the strain, we've had the snap, but now we have a plot twist. What if the sound isn't actually extra at all? Listen to this. Can you hear the difference there? That is the sound of a split second heart sound. Now remember, S2, the dub, is actually two valves closing, the aortic valve and the pulmonary valve. Usually they cross the finish line together, but sometimes one side ejects blood slightly slower than the other, and suddenly we get a tiny separation. You can appreciate that as you listen. It's like the sounds are so close together and they've got a similar pitch, and it's like they kind of want to be the same sound, but they're not quite. Just listen to appreciate that pattern for me. So that is a split heart sound, and now you can hear the difference between that and the other sounds that we've covered so far in this video. And if you want to come with me and properly unpack split heart sounds, including ASD, physiological splitting, and all that fun stuff, you're gonna love this video. I'll see you in there. Bye.